Hey, what's good, what's good, what's good? This is your boy, Tone DeShields II from Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to trust to the game. Always grateful to be in the presence of the beautiful people, like we always do. Got to start the show out with gratitude. Glad you guys are here. Glad you guys are locked in. Please make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. A lot to get into. OTAs are in full effect. I think today was the second media availability when it comes to OTAs, and they made a lot of players available to talk today as well. We're going to talk about what Jordan Davis had to say. We're going to talk about what Nolan Smith had to say. Isaiah Rodgers, John Ross, Parris Campbell. It's so funny John Ross spoke today because I dropped a video, I think yesterday or the day before, regarding his standing with the Philadelphia Eagles and overall his standing in his NFL career. So I think it's going to be really exciting to see who John Ross is and what John Ross becomes. So it's going to be really exciting to see. Let me tap in with you guys, right? Let's check in with the live stream. So Donnie Ford, what's going on, my man? Jason 18 was good. Hope all is well. Philly Flyover Sports, hope all is well with you, my friend. Kyle Kokorski, hope all is well from you. He says, watching from the Rocky Mountains of North Carolina. Man, I appreciate you guys. Fitness Warrior says, man, I'm Loki mad. Tone replaced us. Yo, that is funny. It's so funny. That's why I keep looking down right now, because I'm trying to figure out where he is or where he went. Give me 1 second, because this little guy's fast. Where you at, my guy? Where are you? Let me see. There he is. Okay. All right, just want to make sure, because I don't need this man chewing on my cords. Other than that, though, I'm really excited to be in the presence of y'all, man. Let's get right to it. So again, make sure you guys smash the like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the show, especially if you're new. Make sure you guys share everything, share the content, especially on the Twitter side as well. I appreciate my ex-family. Make sure you guys hit the retweet, hit that like button as well. I appreciate it. So let's get right into it. Tony, what's good? PJ, CZ, Brian Grant, KGK, my man PFT. Hope all is well. So yeah, how should we do this first? Okay, let's address the press conferences, and then we're going to work our way backwards a bit. Okay, let's talk about the press conferences. So the person that I want to start out with, we're going to go in order. Jordan Davis spoke first, and I got to say, it's always good to hear from Jordan Davis because he always seems to have the right perspective. He always seems to have the right mentality. I think we never questioned his love for the game. I don't think we questioned his level of self-accountability, but I think we just questioned the conditioning and if he's taken every measure possible to make sure that he's physically where he needs to be going into the season. And that Jordan Davis, he's going to be entering year 3. Nolan Smith entering year 2. John Ross, he's a veteran. Isaiah Rodgers, veteran. Parris Campbell, veteran. But Jordan Davis and Nolan Smith, those guys drafted back-to-back seasons. And a lot is riding on Jordan Davis and Nolan Smith's success. So again, let's start with Jordan Davis. One of the things that stood out to me was how much he's been open and receptive to Kellen Moore's, not Kellen Moore, but Vic Fangio's hard-nosed, old-school type of coaching, right? That's what stood out to me because, we've heard rumors and reports about the Dolphins' defense and how they've complained about Vic Fangio's mentality and his approach to practice and things of that nature. We've heard negative things about Vic Fangio and how he tends to rub people the wrong way. And look, we'll never know because we're not in the building with the Philadelphia Eagles. But when you hear guys like Jordan Davis and Nolan Smith fully ingratiating themselves with Vic Fangio's mentality, I think that says a lot. And also, they have no choice. because this is their third DC since being Philadelphia Eagles. I think this is Nolan Smith's second DC and Jordan Davis's third DC. You know, Jordan Davis, he addressed trying to be in the best shape of his life and how he's far more comfortable where he is as a player. And he's been trying to hone in more on his diet and his lifestyle, you know, trying to be more active, regardless if it's an off day, right? Trying to get some hiking in, trying to get some walks in, you know, trying to get some treadmill work in, whatever it is to stay active. He's trying to do that regardless if it's an off day. And I think it starts there, right? You know, being fit, being in shape, being conditioned goes more than just showing up on gym days, right? It has to be a lifestyle. It has to be something that goes on every day of your life. It has to take full effect in the food you eat. It has to take full effect in how you communicate, how you spend your downtime, right? Not settling for just watching TV shows in your downtime, but getting some film work in, getting some extra miles on the treadmill, or like he said, hiking, right? And, you know, doing some backpacking. I think that says a lot about his maturity and where he's going. And I'm really excited to see how that translates on the field, because remember, year one, not only did he deal with conditioning issues, he dealt with some injuries as well, and it kind of offset his development a bit. But the main narrative about Jordan Davis's career has always been the conditioning, right? He runs out of gas. He's not a 3-down player. He's limited. That's been the narrative surrounding him for his entire career. And I think it's about time he changed that. Because let's be frank about this. Fletcher Cox is gone. Javon Hargrave, gone. Jordan Davis is supposed to be the big man on campus when it comes to that D-line. Now, obviously, you got Jalen Carter, of course. We know Jalen Carter is probably going to be the most talented guy in the end. He's probably going to be the most effective guy in the end. But Jordan Davis's role is so important on the Philadelphia Eagles, and I don't think it gets appreciated enough. That's my thing. I don't think it gets appreciated enough. Jordan Davis understands that with Fletcher Cox being out of the building, he knows that this is all on him. He has to lead this defensive line. As much as we love Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis has a year on him. So Jordan Davis was drafted top 15. I think he was drafted 13th overall, something like that. Jalen Carter, number 9 overall. Both of those guys have a lot coming on their plate, but Jordan Davis's role has to expand because his condition, because there's so much riding on it. Again, Fletcher Cox can't save him. And I love how he made that very clear. He made it very clear that regardless of how much we love Fletch is the man. We love everything Fletch brought to the table. But the reality is he can't save us. I think he said, in quote, Lord knows we love him, but we can't think about what if Fletch was here. No one's coming to save us. I love that statement. No one is coming to save you. Here's the reality. Fletcher Cox was the best defensive lineman on the Philadelphia Eagles last year, and he was the OG in the building. Jalen Carter had a great start to the season, a great first half of the season, kind of tailed off like everybody else did. So I don't want to continue to point the finger at just one person. Everybody dropped the ball last year on defense. Everybody ran out of gas. Nobody knew what they were doing, and nobody knew where they were supposed to be, especially with all the coaching turnover mid-season. That can't happen. You're cutting your nose despite your face, and you're hurting your players. But Jordan Davis knows that Fletcher's not here anymore, and he can't save us. It's put up or shut up time in Philadelphia. It's time for us to kick the can. It's time for us to take full accountability of this thing. I love the mindset. I love where he is. But it has to translate to the field. We've heard good things from Jordan Davis every time he's gone to the podium. He's never said anything that made us question anything about him. He's a strong interviewee. He's a good interview. He knows how to conduct himself on the podium. But can he put his money where his mouth is? I believe he can. I believe he can. I'm a Jordan Davis. I like Jordan Davis. I don't want people to get it misconstrued. I'm tough on Jordan Davis because I believe he can be great. Now, Jordan Davis's skill set, his role with the Philadelphia Eagles is so vital because he needs to anchor that defense. He is the heart of the defensive line. If he fails, everybody fails. If Jordan Davis fails, everybody fails. That's how important his role is. Do you understand that? He's the heart of the defense. He knows Vic Fangio is dependent on him, especially with Fletcher Cox not being here anymore. He knows the pressure is at an all-time high, and he's welcoming it. He's ready for it, so he says. You know, when they asked him about Vic Fangio's style, he appreciated the old school mentality, and he said there's no BS with him. It's straight ball. You know what your job is. You know what the expectation is. Go out and do your job. He knows, and he said this, it's important for him to be at his best and be the anchor of the defense and make sure the middle is locked down. Are you feeling me on that? Jordan Davis arguably has the most important job on the defense because if he don't do his job, Jalen Carter can't get off and do his thing. Nolan Smith can't get off and do his thing. BG can't do his thing. Bryce Huff can't do his thing. Jordan Davis's job is not only to lock down the run defense, but his job is also to make sure everybody got one-on-one assignments. Jordan Davis's job is to take up space and collapse the offensive line. So I know a lot of people may not be high on JD right now. A lot of people may feel very comfortable shitting on JD right now. I've been hard on JD in the past. I still am. Can't you tell? Jordan Davis knows what's at stake here. He has to hold it down for this defense, and we know that. So for everybody who's down on him, leave that at the back door. It's time to lock in with the gang. It's time to lock in with the squad. If you're not rocking, you against us. It's the off season. It's May. We almost in June. The season is going to be here before we know it. We already halfway through 2024. It just seems like yesterday, Cat Williams was setting 2024 on fire. But here we are, about to be June. The year is almost over. We're halfway here. We're halfway done. We're entering summertime, baby. It's time for everybody to get in tip-top shape. It's time for everybody to get their beach bodies ready. It's time for these NFL players to be ready for the winter, ready for the fall. It's time to kill or be killed. Which side of the line you on? Because I'm locked and loaded, and I'm ready for war. And when I listen to Jordan Davis talk, when I listen to Nolan Smith talk, they ready for war. They know what's up. They know this is it. Jordan Davis is entering year 3. The Eagles are going to have to decide if they're going to pick up his 5th-year option after this season. As of right now, he's not in a position to get that 5th-year option. That's not where he is right now because of the conditioning, because of the up and down seasons he's given the Philadelphia Eagles. But it's okay. He has time to get it together. This is the season to do so. Fletcher Cox is not here. It's your show, partner. It's your show. And I'm just a spectator. And I'm gonna give my honest opinion to the people because that's my obligation to keep it real with y'all while still maintaining some level of optimism because I am an Eagles fan. Y'all know how I give it up here. I'm gonna bring the heat, but I'm gonna also bring the fireworks. I'm gonna bring the love, but I'm gonna bring the accountability. I come down with a heavy hand. I'm firm with mine. So for everybody that's ready to jump ship now, do it. Because I don't want to see you in week 1, and I don't want to see you in week 17. I don't want to hear from you. I don't. Because as of right now, Jordan Davis is under contract. And as of today, I doubt the Philadelphia Eagles will pick up his fourth-year option. Today, I doubt they would. But he still has a chance to change the narrative. He still has a chance to change the narrative. And I like that. I like that. There's nothing wrong with your back being up against the wall. Sometimes that safety net got to get cut. Fletcher Cox was a safety net for Jordan Davis, for Jalen Carter. Fletcher Cox was a safety net for that defensive line. He is gone now. So I loved what Jordan Davis had to say in his press conference. I like what I'm hearing. I like the mentality. He says today he's 350 pounds. One of the Eagles media kind of challenged him on that. They said, well, you were kind of around 350 last year. And he kind of rebutted saying, well, I feel better. My 350 this year feels a lot different than my 350 last year. And I'm paraphrasing, but that's what I got from it. I'm carrying this 350 a lot differently than I did last year. That's what he says. It all remains to be seen. Because come week 1, come week 8, come week 15, we're going to be monitoring this. And we're going to be able to tell. Because we saw what it looked like last season in the first half of the year before the bye week. We saw what it looks like for Jordan Davis to be firing on all cylinders. He was collapsing the offensive line week after week. He was a man on a mission. He lived in the backfield. But then after the bye week, he fell flat, shot his load. That can't happen again. He says he's taking the diet seriously, cutting out the sugary drinks, focusing more on the natural stuff, more water, working out with the linebackers, getting that box drill in, really pushing himself to his limit. Vic Fangio going look. Fangio is going to have these boys ready. He's going to have these boys ready. Sorry about the cough, you guys. Getting over a little cold. Sorry about the cough. But it's going to be entertaining to see. I'm excited for it. I really can't wait. I really can't wait to see what Jordan Davis does. I think Jordan Davis is going to be a hell of a player. I think from a talent perspective, from an athleticism standpoint, you can't question the ability. It's about the conditioning. And we're going to find out if he's capable. He says he's on the right track. We will find out. Let's move on to Nolan Smith, though, because I think Nolan Smith probably gave me my favorite interview of the day. I think he gave me my favorite interview of the day. African Surf says, feel any better about John Ross Tone? We're going to get to that. Stick around. Stick around, Surf. We're going to get to that. Eagle Slayer says Jordan Davis owes the team and fans something. No excuses. Jerome Anthony says don't pick up his fifth-year option. Let him walk. Philly Flyover says told y'all Zach Bones starting. He beat out Glassman Dean. James Jones said, Tone, you think so? I heard being real with him. Dazzy Benson says Jordan owes himself. That I agree with. He don't owe me nothing. He owe it to himself. He owe it to his teammates. He don't owe it to me. He don't owe me nothing. He owe it to himself. He owe it to his family. He owe it to his teammates to be at his best, not me. I'm just a spectator. I'm just a football enthusiast. He don't owe me a damn thing. He owe it to himself first and foremost. Like I said, let's transition to Nolan Smith because he gave me my favorite interview of the day. I love Nolan Smith's energy. I love everything about that brother. I love his approach. I love the mentality. I love the accountability. I just need him to put together on the football field. If that mentality and that talent can meet, can converge at the nexus point, oh my God, Nolan Smith is going to be a problem. I love everything he has to say in the mentality. Now, granted, I don't have anything bad to say about him from last season because he didn't get the reps. He didn't get enough grass time last year. So I can't really say anything bad about him. If I can say anything about his previous season, it seemed like he struggled with the speed of the game. It seemed like he struggled, beating those top tier tackles off the edge. Like, you see, when you're in the NFL, it's deeper than speed. It's deeper than just power. It's deeper than that. Give me 1 second, you guys. My apologies. Give me 1 second. There we go. All right. Sorry about that. Got to keep this damn dog busy. So, in the NFL, it goes beyond just power. It's deeper than just speed. You can't just win this. You can't just be great at this game because you're strong or you're fast. This is the NFL. Everybody's strong. Everybody's fast. Everybody's quick. What separates the great or the haves from the have-nots is mentality, technique, fundamentals. You feel what I'm saying? Who's willing to take it further than the next man? I think Nolan Smith has the fire, has the mentality, has the will. He has that. But I think the athleticism and the technique have to converge. They have to come together. And at this point, Nolan Smith, he's on his second DC, and he understands that his role is going to be not limited to just one thing. He wants to contribute in every way he possibly can. And he believes that this is the year he turns the corner. Granted, only his second season, but he believes he turns the corner this year. He's taken full ownership of that outcome, which I love, by the way. Having that foresight, having that accountability of yourself. Nolan Smith knows this team is dependent on him. As much as we forget about it, as much as it's overlooked, Nolan Smith was a first-round pick. I think he was drafted 30th or 31st overall, if I'm not mistaken. Nolan Smith was a first-round pick. We need first-round results, Playboy. And he knows that. They asked him about his health as well, right? Because remember last year, and again, I apologize, you guys, for my voice, for the cough. I'm getting over a little bit of a cold here. He acknowledged his health. And they asked him about that shoulder. Remember how he mentioned, sometimes that shoulder works and sometimes it don't? Yeah, I think the Eagles had a problem with that. So I don't think we're going to hear him talk about that shoulder in that way ever again. They asked him about it. And he said, it's amazing. It's ready to go. Can't wait to use it. Hey, you want me to do this? But what you need me to do? I'm ready for whatever you need me to do. The shoulder's ready. Again, I love the personality. He's a great interview. Again, Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith, all those Georgia guys, they're all great interviews. But he's a guy that didn't really come in the biggest. He was relatively undersized for the position. He plans to come into the season at about 245 pounds. His goal is to bulk up while still maintaining that athleticism and that speed, which I'm really, really glad about. He also spoke on how he really leaned on his vets. He really leaned on Haason Reddick last season. He knew Nolan Smith. He knew Reddick. He knew Reddick gave him a lot of tools, gave him a lot of game, despite Reddick not being here. And he even made it clear. He said, "Listen, you're not gonna hear me say nothing bad about Reddick. Yes, Bryce Huff is here, and we love him. We appreciate him. I love his approach to the game. I love his mentality. But I ain't got nothing bad to say about Haason. Haason gave me the tools. He took me under his wing and told me, young boy Cook, I got you." Paraphrasing, of course. But I love how much of a sponge Nolan Smith is. And Daza Benson, I appreciate you. Be safe at work, my friend. I appreciate you. He knows that you can't last in this game without some high-quality veterans. He mentioned how BG gave him a lot of tools. Haason Reddick, Huff, Lane Johnson, especially when it comes to his health, right? He mentioned how, Lane Johnson taught him how to manage and take care of his feet, take care of his lower half, so he can avoid the ACL injuries and the knee and the ankle injuries. And he got real detailed and stuff like that. He's a very vivid communicator. And I love that about Nolan. He's going to be as clear cut as he possibly can. He also mentioned how he's grateful for coaches like Jeremiah Washburn for giving him the green light to be him and giving him the green light to bulk up and holding him accountable and not trying to put limits on his skill set. I even love how he felt about Fangio. He loves a guy like Fangio. Both Jordan Davis and Fangio mentioned the kind of coaches they dealt with at Georgia. Kirby Smart being a defensive guy at Georgia. They mentioned how, hey, we're used to the old school mentality. We're used to the hard-nosed, tough environment. That's not a shocker to us. So we appreciate Vic's approach. And I think a lot of the players need this, especially coming into this season, coming off of the way that season ended last year. I think you needed a new voice, a voice that takes no shit, a voice that's going to lay down the law and make the expectations very clear, someone who's very capable of teaching the game. You see, when you bring in young DCs, not only are they trying to teach young players, but they're trying to learn their role themselves. And Vic Fangio, we ain't got to worry about him going through a learning curve. He knows who he is. He knows what his expectations are. He knows what he's trying to get done. He knows the kind of things he wants to implement on the football field. We're not going to have to worry about Vic Fangio being babysat by anybody. If anything, if any concern we have about Vic Fangio, it's going to be, hey, can he get the most out of this personnel? That's it. I don't question Vic Fangio's competence. I don't question Vic Fangio's knowledge. I don't question his ability to do the job. He's been doing this for 30 plus years. But when you bring in a Sean Desai, a rookie DC, a Jonathan Gannon, a rookie DC, granted, Gannon got results the second year, but people still had a problem with him. The fans, that is. But when you bring in young DCs who haven't done the job before, there's a learning curve with that. You're asking them to learn on the job while still teaching guys as well. I don't need that distraction in my life when I'm trying to win a Super Bowl. I don't need that. I need guys that know what they're doing, period. Point blank. Finito. I'm sorry. This is not a daycare center. This is not some sort of farm system for DCs. Or I'm sorry, I'm not jacking that. I need guys that know what they're doing so we can win the big one. I don't care about trying to further these guys' careers. I don't give a fuck about, grooming young coaches to be head coaches and that being on the resume. I want Super Bowls on the resume. I want guys that have experience. Hence why you bring in Vic Fangio. Hence why you bring in Kellen Moore. Granted, Kellen Moore is a younger guy, but he's been an OC for about 4 or 5 seasons in the NFL, if I'm not mistaken. Experience. He knows where to be. He knows his role. He knows his expectations. He knows what he wants from his players. So I'm glad that Nolan Smith and Jordan Davis are fully ingratiating themselves with the Vic Fangio mantra, the old school mentality. I'm vibing with it. Nolan Smith, he spoke on his rookie season and how it wasn't the easiest, mainly because the speed of the game was his biggest adjustment. That was the biggest learning curve for him in year one. The speed of the game, man. He even mentioned how, as a young player, he was focusing too much on the macro. He was focusing too much on the larger picture. He needed to narrow his focus. He was trying to achieve too much too quickly. He mentioned how BG gave him a lot of game about that. Hey, narrow your focus. Focus on the little things. Don't worry about trying to accomplish everything in just one fell swoop. No. Focus on your job, master your craft, take it day by day, be in the moment. Don't try to just go above and beyond and get so much done so fast. That's a quick way to fail. I suffer from that sometimes. Right? Just taking on so much mentally and feeling like I can just knock everything out so quickly and trying to put too much on my plate, trying to dive in head first all the time. Nah, sometimes it can't be like this. Sometimes you got to take baby bites, bits and pieces. You got to stack your days. You can't build a house overnight. You can't. Brick by brick. Foundation, the studs, the sheetrock, the cement, all of that. Got to take it day by day, brick by brick. I think the Philadelphia Eagles have a new mentality brewing. A new expectation. Wouldn't you agree? Jordan Davis and Nolan Smith, they know they're the future of this defense, and they have to be. They know that they have to maximize not only their potential, but they have to maximize their opportunity. They have to maximize their opportunity. You don't get too many shots at this thing. So Nolan Smith is going to get more reps. Jordan Davis, I expect him to be a 3-down player. This is it. Nolan Smith also said something pretty interesting. He said I feel like, and I'm paraphrasing him. He basically talked about how people have a misconception about how this league works. People have a misconception about expectations and when guys come into the league. This is a grown man's game. And to think that players are going to come in and just instantly be Pro Bowls or all pro, he feels like a perspective shift is needed. There is a learning curve, especially when you're on a deep roster. You have to maximize your potential. You have to maximize your opportunities. If you don't, you're gonna end up in the unemployment line. So I think everybody is having that come to Jesus moment. I think everybody is. And everybody knows they've got a lot to do. Man, this puppy is all over the place. Sorry about that, you guys. Hey, listen, I'm doing a lot right now. I'm a man in many hats. I'm trying to raise a puppy. This man just walks around and sometimes he gets into whatever he wants to get into. As a matter of fact, come here. Because you're doing a lot of walking for me. There he is. So it's time to put up or shut up time. It's time to put your big boy pants on. It's time for everybody to lock in and be on your P's and Q's because nothing is owed to you. Nothing is owed to you at all whatsoever. Let's move on, though. I want to talk about Isaiah Rodgers. This was an interesting conversation because obviously Isaiah Rodgers, he's coming off of a situation where he was suspended for a whole season. And he missed a full season of football. That can hurt a player. We've actively seen how much of a struggle it's been for a guy like Deshaun Watson, who was suspended for a whole season, and he's struggling to get back to being that player that we know him to be, right? So Isaiah Rodgers, he's going to go through his own transitional period after missing a full season of football. But based off his interview, based off his press conference, he made it very clear that he didn't miss a beat. He made it a point to keep his routine exactly the same. Stayed locked in on what was going on. Obviously, being suspended, you can't communicate with everybody in the building. So he made sure he was in lockstep with his agent, just making sure he's taking care of his body, making sure his conditioning is in top tier, or to the best of his ability. And he even addressed his situation about the gambling. He took full accountability for it, and he understands that like, the rules are the rules. You break them, you're gonna face the consequences. But he also took it as an opportunity to not only take care of his body, but also to get closer to his family and his perspective about the game and his position in the game shifted. I think that's important to take in. This game, and he said it, this game will move on with or without you. We know that. As fans of the game, we've seen it all the time. This game will move on with or without you. So if you don't come in and do your job, if you don't come in and be the player you're supposed to be, if you outside bullshitting on gambling, the game will be taken away from you. The league is cracking down on it. All these leagues are cracking down on it. You cannot bet on your own team. But that was then. This is now. He's here in the building. He's competing. He feels like he's in great shape. He feels like his speed is still there. I love everything. I love everything I heard. He didn't really speak on too much, but again, he just spoke on how he's taking care of his body. Isaiah Rodgers is in a very unique situation because he's going to be competing with a lot of people for grass time. He's going to be competing with a lot of people for grass time. He's competing with Kelly Ringo. He's competing with first-round draft pick Quinion Mitchell. He's competing with second-round draft pick Cooper DeJean. He's competing with James Bradbury, Eli Ricks. He's competing with all those guys. So if he don't come in and do his job to the best of his ability, he's not going to make the roster. The Eagles don't owe him nothing. He's on a one-year deal like everybody else. So I think. But it's going to be a hell of a competition. And I think the Eagles have a good problem. Darius Slay, Quinion Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, James Bradbury, Keely Ringo, Isaiah Rodgers, Eli Ricks. They have a good problem. What's wrong? They have a good problem. They have a good problem. Donnie Ford says Mekhi Garner got an INT today too. Yeah, we're going to talk about OTAs and some of the notes that people took there as well. We're going to talk about all of that. But yeah, the Eagles, in my opinion, have a good problem with having all those bodies in the DB room. We're going to see how it pans out, though. We'll see. Now, I want to transition to a player that I was talking about, I believe, yesterday. John Ross. If you guys saw my video that I posted, it's on my YouTube channel. You guys can check it out if you want. The tagline or the headline of the video was, "Sorry, Eagles fans, John Ross is not the answer." That was what I posted. Because I believe that. He has an uphill battle. He's going to be competing with a lot of people in that wide receiver room. Just like the DB room, the wide receiver room has a lot of people that's competing. Now, John Ross, he does have traits that probably gives him the edge over some people, a la the unique speed that he comes with. Also, we've had guys on this roster, John Hightower, Quez Watkins. We've had guys on this roster that have real speed. Couldn't really do much with it. John Ross, throughout his career, although he had tremendous speed, couldn't really do much with it. Never really made a real strong impact anywhere he's been. Cincinnati and New York. And spent about 3 years away from the game, retired in 2021. He mentioned in his press conference the day he retired, he knew he made a mistake, but he embraced it. And he took it as an opportunity to not only get his mind right and really hone in on his relationships and cut out the fat, the people who aren't serving you, the people who are more of a detriment. He took the time to vet his relationships, but even more so, he took the time to get closer to his son. And by him getting closer to his son and coaching his son, it allowed him to fall in love with the game all over again and to not take the game for granted. He knew when he retired it was a mistake. But listen to this. In my video, I questioned his love for the game. I'm not going to do that anymore. Now, when you listen to people speak and express themselves, I tend to believe I'm a good judge of character. That's just my opinion about myself. I tend to believe that I'm a good judge of character. And when I was listening to John Ross speak, when I was looking in his eyes, I saw somebody who, again, my opinion, I saw somebody who did a lot of soul searching. I saw somebody that looked in the mirror and did a lot of accountability searching. And I appreciate that. He came off as a very focused, a very humble guy, a guy that understands that his position is very unique. But we'll see, right? We'll see. Another thing that stood out to me about his conversation with the media is he acknowledged how he wasn't in the best place mentally earlier in his career. And mainly he wasn't in the best place mentally was because of his health. And because his health was failing him, he wasn't able to lock in on the game the way he wanted to, and he didn't feel like he was capable of being consistent. So he took time to get his body right, get his mind right, to completely cut out the fat from his life and really lean out his dynamic with friends, family, so on and so forth, focusing on what matters. And if you ask him, he really doesn't believe he lost a step. I questioned that as well in my previous video. He feels like he still has that lethal speed. I appreciate the confidence, but we will see. We'll see. He feels like he hasn't lost a step. He felt like his mentality was the problem earlier in his career, not his skill set. Remember, he was a top 10 draft pick. John Ross was a top 10 draft pick. Let's not get that mixed up. He was drafted to be a number 1 wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals. And he could not do that. So I'll go as far to say this. Although John Ross was not able to maximize his opportunity as a number 1 receiver in Cincinnati, it's entirely plausible that he could be a strong number 3. With that speed, it could help the Philadelphia Eagles tremendously. Again, when you get down to that level, the number 3, the number 4 receiver, now you're talking about traits, unique traits you want in your number 3 or your number 4. You're getting into the territory of reliability. You get what I'm saying? John Ross has to position himself where he can be relied on and he can be consistently fast. Now, he may not get too many footballs thrown to him because he's in a very loaded offense. And again, we're speaking as if he's going to make the roster. He may not get too many opportunities because of the offense he's in. You're playing with A.J. Brown. You're playing with Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley. It's a very loaded Eagles offense. So his opportunities are going to come short and far in between. Or few and far between, excuse me. But when he does get the opportunity, can he take advantage? Can he maximize his role? Again, with that kind of speed, can he be utilized in the special teams? Can he be utilized in various packages? It all remains to be seen. But John Ross has kind of shifted my perspective on him, not necessarily as a player, but more so as the man. And I don't know him personally. And I never heard anything bad about him. But it's just the fact that when you hear him speak about the shift in perspective, the shift in mentality, how he took the game for granted at one point and knew that retirement was a mistake, but he leaned into the opportunity to get close to his son and watch him grow up and coach him and to fall in love with the game all over again. He sounds like someone who is so grateful for the opportunity to be in Philadelphia. And he was even saying how he grew up a Philadelphia Eagles fan. So, again, all these press conferences, it's great to hear. We love hearing the feel-good stories. We love hearing guys taking accountability. We love all that. But like I always say, it has to translate to the field. You got to translate. John Ross is competing with a lot of guys. He's competing with Nolan Smith. He's competing with Johnny Wilson, Britton Covey, Joseph Ngata, Austin Watkins Jr., Shaquan Davis, Jacob Harris. And look, guys like Austin Watkins Jr., Shaquan Davis, Jacob Harris, look, their numbers are 41, 47, and 46. Their jersey numbers. That tells you right then and there, yeah, they're probably not going to make this roster. But John Ross is number 83. Joseph Ngata, 86. And Nolan Smith, 82. Johnny Wilson, number 89. Britton Covey, number 18. Parris Campbell, number 80. I think John Ross is competing directly with Parris Campbell and Nolan Smith. I think those are the two players he's going to have to outplay in training camp and OTAs. Because Parris Campbell, he's another guy that spoke to the media. And he's another guy that has speed as well. Now, Parris Campbell may not be as fast as John Ross, but Parris Campbell's a pretty fast, a pretty shifty player as well. And he's been reliable where he's been in the opportunities he's gotten. His best years were with the Colts, and that's kind of how he found his way to Philadelphia, having that relationship with Nick Sirianni, having that relationship with Kevin Patullo, right? That's kind of how he ended up in Philadelphia. Before we continue, make sure you guys smash that like button. It really means a lot to me. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Make sure you guys also continue to comment, share. My ex-family, my people on Twitter, I appreciate you guys as well. Make sure you guys stay locked in. The show doesn't grow without the people. You guys are the lifeblood of this channel. So make sure you guys know where you stand and make sure you guys utilize your power as consumers. If you guys demand it, I will supply it. It's straight like that. But Parris Campbell, he's a guy who's really showing some chemistry with Jalen Hurts. Out of all the guys outside of A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, Parris Campbell is starting to show some chemistry. We'll see how it pans out. Parris Campbell even, he mentioned how, he knows he's competing for a role here, but even more so, he's so much more focused on competing with himself. And I think that's how everybody should approach everything, right? You don't want to look at another man's plate. You come in, you do your job, you maximize your opportunity. The coach is going to see it. That's the beautiful thing about sports. That's the beautiful thing about sports, right? You can literally say, fuck everybody else. If I come in and do my job, at the end of the day, I got to live with the results. If I come in and maximize my opportunity and know that I gave it my all and know that I was prepared and know that I knew what my job was, the coach is going to see that. It don't matter what sport you play. The coach is going to see that. Basketball, football, soccer, baseball. If you do your job and if you make an impact, regardless of what the next man do, the coach is going to see that and you're going to find yourself with a job. 9 times out of 10. Now, there will be moments where coaches have a tough decision to make. But the best you can do is to make that decision even more difficult for the coaches. Force the coaches to make a tough decision. That's Parris Campbell's job. That's John Ross's job. Force the coaches to make a tough decision. Make it hard for them. Pause. Make it difficult. Make them have to look in the mirror and say, "Damn, I can't get rid of Parris." Or damn, Ross came in and he took 3 years off, but he is flying. I can't get rid of that guy. Make the decision difficult. Make them lose sleep because you made the impact you were supposed to make. You dig me? So overall, I love what I heard from the guys. You heard a lot from a lot of guys who were competing, and you heard from two important cogs to the Eagles defense. Jordan Davis and Nolan Smith. Their role on the Eagles defense is so important, and it can't be overlooked. It can't. My man Check O, what's going on? With the $4.99 donation. He said, "What's up, bro? Do you plan on doing a schedule and division prediction at some point?" My bad if you already have. I've been MIA. No, you all good, my man. On my last live stream, I actually went through the entire Eagles schedule and we predicted every single game. But I don't mind. I don't mind rereading what I got here. So because you gave me a super chat, my friend, I appreciate you. I'm going to give you my prediction for the Philadelphia Eagles season. So I have the Philadelphia Eagles beating Green Bay, beating Atlanta, beating New Orleans, beating Tampa Bay. The bye week is week 5, obviously. I have the Eagles beating Cleveland, beating the Giants in week 7. That's a 6-0 start. I had the Philadelphia Eagles taking their first loss against the Bengals in week 8. That puts them at 6-1. They bounced back and beat the Jaguars in week 9. That puts them at 7-1. I got the Eagles losing to Dallas on the road. That's a loss. That puts them at 7-2. I had the Eagles beating Washington and the Rams in weeks 11 and 12, respectively. That puts them at 9-2. I had the Eagles losing to the Ravens in week 13. That puts them at 9-3. I had the Eagles going back-to-back wins against the Carolina Panthers and the Pittsburgh Steelers in week 14 and 15, respectively. That puts them at 11-3. I had the Eagles losing to Washington in week 16, puts them at 11-4. I also have the Eagles beating the Dallas Cowboys in week 17, puts them at 12-4, and then finishing the season beating the Giants in week 18. That puts them at 13-4. So I had the Philadelphia Eagles going 13-4 on the season at best, and at worst, I had them going 11-6. I'll say that again. I had the Philadelphia Eagles at best finishing the season 13-4, and at worst finishing the season 11-6. So Checo, I appreciate you for donating to the channel. I even appreciate you for having me rehash that schedule, because I think the Philadelphia Eagles schedule is very favorable, especially when you compare it to the Dallas Cowboys. So Checo, thank you so much for donating to the channel. Trust me, your investment goes a long way with me, and I really appreciate you, my friend. Hopefully you can stay locked in whenever you can, man. The content is always going to keep flowing. I've even had some changes in my own life as well, right? I've been trying to pump up the content as much as I can. I got a new puppy, so I'm trying to raise him and trying to give him a lot of focus in terms of training as well, all that kind of stuff. You know, I got a lot of other stuff going on as well. So, but regardless, Checo, I appreciate you for locking in. Thank you for donating. Kyle Kokorski says, Tone, I'm curious to see who wins the right guard job. Oh, my friend, I made a video about that too. I think as much as, look, David, I know it is Tyler Steen's job to lose. I think at this point, Tyler Steen is the right guard. He's the starting right guard right now, but he's still competing. I think Trevor Keegan can push him to the limit. Trevor Keegan comes into the league so polished, so refined, so disciplined, and has a blue-collar killer be killed mentality, Tyler Steen has to hold that job down. He can lose that job to Trevor Keegan. I think Matt Hennessy is competing as well, but I also think Matt Hennessy is more likely to be the backup left guard or backup center, maybe. Now, Mekhi Becton, he's too tall for right guard. He's too big. He's too big for right guard. That can't work. Mekhi Becton is the backup right tackle. That's a great position to be in as well. Say what you want about Mekhi Becton. His issues in his career has never been talent. It's been the health. So when he's healthy, when he's on, he's dangerous. He's talented. He's athletic. He's a powerhouse. He's a big dude. I love Mekhi Becton backing up Lane Johnson because Lane Johnson is on the back nine of his career. Lane Johnson probably has maybe 2 years left playing this game, if we're being honest. Maybe 2 seasons at the most, just my humble opinion. I think Lane has about 2 years left because of his injury history and how much these seasons and the off seasons take a toll on the body. But to have Mekhi Becton backing him up, God forbid Lane Johnson goes down for a couple weeks, you got Mekhi Becton coming in. You're in great shape. And you got Jeff Stoutland getting these guys ready. That's why I feel like Trevor Keegan, he can compete for that right guard spot because he comes in with such a beautiful skill set and a beautiful resume. You add Jeff Stoutland to that gumbo, man, oh man, the cream is only going to rise to the top. I'm not worried about the Eagles offensive line, not one bit, because I know Jeff Stoutland going to have these boys ready. That left side is locked down. Center is locked down. Right guard, Tyler Steen. That's his spot to lose. Right tackle, locked down. But I think Trevor Keegan can push Tyler Steen. Don't get it twisted. Tyler Steen is the starter for now. But Trevor Keegan is going to push him. I'm telling you guys, I think Trevor Keegan, I'm high on that man. I'm high on that man. Kyle also says, Tone, I think we need to add depth on defense. Where would you add it? Because I think they have a ton of depth in the DB room. I don't think they need any more depth. Like they have a ton of depth in the DB room. I think they're good with that. They have a ton of depth at linebacker. Maybe they can be more talented, right? But they have a lot of bodies in that linebacker room. Where would you add more players? Because at this point in the offseason, you're not going to get a powerhouse player. You're not going to get some blue chip player at this point in the offseason, right? At this point, you're just trying to supplement your roster. So I don't know where you would add the depth. Maybe the depth on the D line. I'll give you that. I think they could use more depth at DT. I'll say that. Chip Season says we're going to miss Fletcher. Oh, yeah, man, we are. We're going to miss Fletcher for sure. But like Jordan Davis said, we love him. Lord knows we love him, and we're going to miss him. But guess what? It's our time now. He can't save us. The safety net has to go. I love Fletcher. And Jordan Davis love him too. But it's time for these young brothers to shine. We knew this day was coming. And we should not be in a position where we're as concerned as we are. But unfortunately, Jordan Davis has put us in a position to question him. I think a lot of us are very confident in Jalen Carter. I think a lot of us are confident in Milton Williams. Marlon Tuipulotu, he can play, but he's not a starter, obviously. He's a rotational DT at best, the rotational nose tackle. They brought in PJ Mustafa, another guy that's not going to be a starter, a rotational DT, a depth piece. But I would love for them to add to the DT room. I would love for that. All right, I want to talk about OTAs. Let's get into OTAs, right? So let's just get some housekeeping out the way, right? So when it comes to OTAs, Devontae Smith, Lane Johnson, Darius Slade, James Bradbury, CJ Gardner-Johnson, Josh Sweat were not at today's voluntary practice. Smith, Johnson, and Sweat also didn't attend last week's media practice as well. Keely Ringo was back at practice as well. He was absent last week for some reason. Hasn't been revealed. As far as any injury updates, Sidney Brown still not practicing. Nakobe Dean was seemingly limited, but took part in some team drills. Obviously, Nakobe Dean is coming off of an injury-riddled season. Sidney Brown tore the ACL in the last game of the year. Anaya Smith, he's recovering from a stress fracture in his leg. It says here, I think it was his leg. It says Anaya Smith did a little more than he did last week. Still seems to be limited and hasn't been in any team drills yet. And Jacob Parris, he watched practice from the sideline due to an undisclosed injury as well. All right. Now, as far as the depth chart goes on defense, since CJ, GJ, Slay, and Bradbury wasn't there, the first team secondary looked like Isaiah Rodgers at left cornerback, Keely Ringo at right cornerback, Tyler Hall was at nickel. Tyler Hall was another guy that's going to be competing. I forgot about Tyler Hall. Isaiah Rodgers is competing with Tyler Hall, Keely Ringo. He's competing with Avonte Maddox. It's a lot of competition. Reed Blankenship and Avonte Maddox was back at safety today. The second team secondary included Quinion Mitchell at left corner, Eli Ricks at right cornerback, Cooper DeJean at nickel, Devin White and Zach Bond were the first team linebackers in the 7-on-7. And Nakobe Dean rotated in for Zach Bond. And later on, the Eagles held an 11-on-11 period where Dean rotated in for White. So as of right now, Devin White and Zach Bond are the starting linebackers. And what did I tell you guys? I told you. Everybody laughed me out the door, though. I told people, watch Zach Bond. He's going to push Nakobe Dean. He's going to push all those guys. Did I not say that? I told you guys, Zach Bond is somebody we need to watch. He's a very versatile player, very athletic. He really came on in the final 5 games for the Saints last year. He was a stat sheet stuffer, gave you sacks, gave you interceptions, forced fumbles. Let me make sure I got this right here. I want to make sure I got these. I got these notes correct here, because Zach Bond, he took advantage of his opportunity. Okay, so here we go. Zach Bond, 6'3", 225 pounds, 27 years old, was drafted out of Wisconsin in the 3rd round in 2020. Through four seasons in the NFL, he played in 62 games, started in 14 games. Throughout his career, he's been primarily a special teamer, but in 2023, that was when he got his most productive. That was his most productive season in 2023 as a defensive player, as a full-time defensive player. His 2023 stats: he had 6 starts with 301 defensive snaps. He had 30 tackles, 2 sacks, 15 quarterback pressures, 4 quarterback hits, 4 tackles for loss, 1 interception, and 2 pass deflections. According to Ross Jackson, who covers the Saints for SI.com Saints News Network, Zach Bond was an undervalued impact player for the Saints, especially in 2023. So that signing wasn't a home run by any stretch, but I feel like Zach Bond is a player that's trending up. Granted, he's 27 years old, but I feel like he's trending up. He seems like the kind of guy that may not be a big name, but he's a reliable guy to be out there. He's going to be exactly where you need him to be. He's going to make plays. He's going to affect the game somehow, some way, be it in pass coverage or be it rushing the passer. I told you guys about this. Watch Zach Bond, and some of y'all laughed me out the damn room. Some of y'all said, Zach Bond, get the fuck out of here, Tone. I said, okay. I said, all right. We'll see. Shout out to my mom. I appreciate you for locking in, Mom Dukes. I love you to death. Love you to death. Come on, man. Look at death. So, look, I told people, Zach Bond is a player you want to watch. He's a player you want to watch. And as of right now, him and Devin White are the starters. Nakobe Dean is going to have an uphill battle. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is in the building. Oren and Burks is in the building. Zach Bond, Devin White. It ain't going to be easy. I tell you that much. It ain't going to be easy. Let's continue on. So, now the depth chart notes for the offense. It says Tyler Steen was the first team right guard, with Mekhi Becton filling in for Lane Johnson at right tackle. Remember, Lane Johnson wasn't here. He wasn't available. This little guy's squirmy, man. All right. Fitness Warrior says, is Zach Bond faster than TJ Edwards? Yes. Yes, he's significantly faster than TJ Edwards. It's no question. Zach Bond is faster than TJ Edwards. Faster sideline to sideline, faster in the pass. Yes, he's faster. Remember, like I said, Zach Bond was used in pass coverage. He was used to rush the passer. You know, Zach Bond was a stat sheet stuffer. He came in, he started 6 games last year for the Saints. Okay. Let's continue on. So, according to the observers, Jalen Hurts didn't have his best practice. He was picked off multiple times. He could have had a touchdown pass to Dallas Goedert, but the ball was a tad too high and wide. Look, I don't really put too much credence in to some of the things that happens. Like these guys are working out the kinks. These guys are trying out new things. These guys are, ingratiating new personnel. Turnovers are going to happen. I'm not worried about that. Also, Isaiah Rodgers looked really good through his 2 media-attended OTA practices. He made a play on the ball last week, and he flashed again today with the biggest highlight of the day. Rodgers perfectly jumped a route on a short throw by Jalen Hurts for a pick 6. A year off from football clearly hasn't prevented Rodgers from shining, and there's plenty of offseason left for him to, for him to continue to elevate his position. But as of right now, he's challenging. He's challenging to start at cornerback across from Darius Slay. He's making it hard. He's making it hard for the Philadelphia Eagles. Like I said to you guys, the goal for these players who aren't really high on the roster, the goal for you guys is to make these coaches make a difficult decision. Ringo had good downfield coverage on Parris Campbell. He nearly picked off Hurts. He just couldn't secure the catch to make the play. Also, Devin White, he deflected a short pass by Hurts in the tight window to create a tipped interception opportunity for Zach Bond. That was the second straight media attended practices where Devin White was making plays in coverage. Kenny Pickett was up and down. Last time the media saw him, he was pretty sharp, but Kenny Pickett was up and down today. He made 2 good throws to the left sideline, including one where he scrambled left and helped his target get open with the back shoulder throw to E.J. Jenkins. He completed another pass from the pocket to Albert O for a gain. The bad with Pickett was his feet. He was a little all over the place with his feet. And also, they even said with his feet set, he overthrew a wide open Albert O in the flat, and he had a deep pass to John Ross that was underthrown. So again, all these guys, Hurts, Pickett, these quarterbacks, they're working out the kinks. I'm not tripping over the notes when it comes to them. Bryce Huff, he looked smaller to some people. But regardless, he's 6'3", 255. Also, when it comes to punt return reps, the punt return reps went to Brenton Covey, Cooper DeJean, Isaiah Rodgers, and Anaya Smith in that order. A.J. Brown and John Ross were hanging out by them, but weren't really repping. He was, they were just watching. Cooper DeJean, he knocked down a short pass intended for Brenton Covey. Jalix Hunt, he looked comfortable in coverage, where he lined up in the slot. Johnny Wilson had a nice catch over the middle. He moves pretty well for his size, according to the observations. He doesn't look too stiff out there. Wilson had a bad drop later in the practice, though. E.J. Jenkins, he jumped high to make a contested catch on Tanner McKee, well on a Tanner McKee throw over the middle. Through 2 OTA practice, Jenkins has offered a lot of things to consider when it comes to the tight end depth. Grant Kakatera has an uphill battle. Tyrion Davis-Price, the running back, he fumbled last week and dropped a short check down pass today. Not great. Yeah, Tyrion Davis-Price right now, he's not looking good in the standing of his team. Sean Stephens, remember the undrafted free agent they brought in, the cornerback, Sean Stephens. He ended up picking off a pass by Tanner McKee. So overall, I mean, very interesting OTAs. But overall, look, again, this OTAs is not training camp. A lot of these guys are working on things. They don't have any pads on. So a lot of this stuff is going to work itself out, right? I'm not stressed about the situation not one bit, but overall, I'd rather not make the mistakes now. Honestly, I'd rather not make the mistakes now. Remember how last season everybody was getting on Dak Prescott for throwing interceptions in training camp? And Hurts was super sharp in training camp, no mistakes. And look how the season turned out. Dak Prescott was amazing last year. Jalen Hurts left a lot on the table, left a lot of food on his plate. Didn't have the season we thought he would have. But I think Jalen Hurts is in prime position to bounce back. That's just me. I love everything that I'm seeing and hearing from the players, from the coaches. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to have a very, very strong season this year. Like I mentioned, I think they're going to win 13 games. I think at best they go 13-4. At worst, they go 11-6. I think the Philadelphia Eagles will win the division. The Cowboys' schedule is just too difficult early on, but the Philadelphia Eagles have to take advantage of that layup. The Philadelphia Eagles got to make sure that they get at least maybe a 2 or 3 game lead on the Cowboys while they can. I think the Cowboys start the season 3-3. I think the Eagles could start the season 6-0. If you get that edge on them, you buy yourself some breathing room. That's my that's my perspective. But overall, man, still so much time left in the offseason. So much left to be desired. Who knows? Howie Roseman may add to this roster, may add more depth on the defensive line, may add more depth in the tight end room, or even at wide receiver, or even safety. You never really know. I think Justin Simmons is still out there. We'll see how things turn out. But overall, I loved what I heard from Jordan Davis. It's a big season for him. Nolan Smith, same thing. Big season for him. Isaiah Rodgers, John Ross, Parris Campbell. All those guys are trying to make the roster. John Ross and Parris Campbell especially. It's going to be really exciting to see the competition. I think there's a ton of competition in both the wide receiver room and the cornerback room, and I love to see that. Even the linebacker room. I mean, there's competition all across the board, and that's how you get better. And I think the Philadelphia Eagles are in good hands from a coaching perspective. I think Vic Fangio is going to do a great job. I think Kellen Moore is going to have a strong performance. You know what? I even think Nick Sirianni is going to step up as well, believe it or not. But that's just my opinion, and I'm curious to know what you guys think. Please, before we get out of here, make sure you guys smash that like button. Please make sure you guys are subscribed to the show. It really means a lot to me. The show cannot go on without the people. You guys are truly, truly a part of this family here. Loki says hi, and I keep waking him up from his nap. I know he's kind of pissed off at me right now, but this is my little man right here. And we're going to get out of here. So, again, make sure you guys smash that like button. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. Shout out to my Twitter family. I appreciate y'all on X. It means a lot to me. Make sure you guys retweet the show. Make sure you guys also share the content as well. Really appreciate all of the love, man. So we're going to get out of here. I love you guys so much. I'm your guy, Tone DeShields II. You guys have been locked in on Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the gang.